IWP Live Show. Who's this?
This is the IRS, man. I'm auditing your show. You can come down to my office. This is Joe Campbell. What's
Show's over, guys. Joe Campbell. What's up, Joe?
We're switching.
How you doing?
I'll fix it.
All right, so, well, we got you on to make sure we got a good testing here. I just want to make sure that everybody could hear you. So, guys, if you listened up, let us know if you could hear Joe. Before we start,
Hello,
Joe,
everybody.
for those that don't really know you, because, you know, you're out there on the internet and this stuff, but not everybody knows Joe Campbell, but they should, since you did run in the last election.
I know, I switched.
Okay. Tell us real quick. Oh, we know your name already. Tell us your title and where you work out from.
Okay, well, if you don't know me, shame on you. I work out of car equipment. I'm a car inspector. Ran for president in 2012, 2015, and 2018. I ran for international president in 2017. And I was a division chair of car equipment for a lot of years, 2 terms, plus division officer, you know, going way back. So I have a lot of years on the job. I have about 29 years. And, you know, the union is really important to me. So, you know, that's why I stay involved. And I try to get the facts out. I try to educate people as much as I can.
Gotcha. Now, real quick, there was a video that you did, and I don't know what depot it was, but where it seems like you came into an attack. Was that a union member?
It was division chair car equipment. He came to Shopgate on the contract, and, you know, I mean, respectfully, I had let, you know, him say his piece and go around the room for questions, and then when it was time for me to speak, you know, I got tired of holding my hand up, and so I just started speaking. Because, you know, everyone knows it's coming. And then, you know, I started telling everybody that, you know, what I felt, and I went right to the wages. I didn't start off with the other stuff. And then, you know, he started attacking me, saying I'm campaigning and all that, and I don't know what I'm campaigning for. I mean, the election was last year, but anyway.
Yeah, I didn't see how that was campaigning. You were just educating the people that were there on the wages. It's not like you're saying vote for me or nothing. I didn't see you campaigning. That's my opinion.
Right. So what you do is, if you can't dispute the message, you try to discredit the messenger. And, you know, because I was speaking facts, I was speaking statistics. And, you know, if you want to dispute those statistics, then I'm all ears. And we can do that in a reasonably respectful manner to each other. But things kind of got out of hand, I guess, because I was refuting what was said. And they were told to come out and sell the contract. They were not told to come out and debate the contract. And you know, the shop that I'm in, and that was Jamaica Shop, by the way. That's a car equipment location in Kew Gardens. And I, you know, of course, I'm talking contract every day. And I can't brainwash people. I mean, and they're smart people. They hear what I'm saying. If I'm full of shit, they'll tell me. But, you know, it's kind of like my home, so you can't really come into my house in front of my family and start slapping me around. So things get, you know...
heated real quick.
You know, and these things happen. You saw what happened in Gleason with Amin Khan, and it got crazy in there.
Yeah, that guy's stupid crazy.
Yeah, so the idea behind that is to, like, threaten... Like to turn the members off, like they would get up and walk out. They won't be like, oh, I don't do this, oh. You know, but it's the wrong attitude. Members should stay engaged and understand, you know, each person's point of view and what is the motive behind that point of view. Now, his motive is to sell that contract. My motive is to tell the truth, because I don't have any other motive. What am I gaining by lying to everybody? I'm not. So I mean, we can get into the, you know, the meat and potatoes of that, but just to say how it happened and how it went down. I don't dislike the person that I was arguing with. I as a person, I like him. He's not a bad person, but just that we have this completely opposite political point of view within the union, so these things can get out of hand.
All right, real quick. I see Jason. Can you guys still hear him? Someone's saying you could barely hear him, but we got the volume up here.
I'm talking pretty loud.
Yeah, no, we hear you here in the studio, real clear over our headphones.
Yeah, I got it up.
It's up.
Well,
Guys, if you're watching,
Okay.
raise the volume on your phone or a computer, wherever you're listening. So, okay, let's get to it. What did you want to bring up as far as the contract?
Okay, I mean, there's a whole lot to criticize.
Because we have
I'll
you,
keep it to-
and we have John, and we have Martinez calling. So, and this
Okay,
hour is
I'll
for
be-
you
I'll be
guys.
quick.
So, you go ahead.
So what I was talking about the raises and why they are below the cost of living, and even more alarmingly, the future cost of living, is because inflation. When they say that it matches inflation, they're kind of right in the sense that it matches today's inflation. But inflation is a national average. It doesn't indicate the cost of living, which is the consumer price index here in New York. If this was a contract in Nebraska, it would be a great contract. But the cost of living in New York dictates that the raises be much higher. So if you're going to average out the whole country, you're averaging Nebraska, Kansas, Wyoming with us. And it brings that average down. So you can't, I mean, it's just the Northeast. It's not just New York City. I mean, it's an entire huge region. And so
Sorry.
what they're bringing to the table is a substandard wage package. Now, this isn't much more than the Transit Authority budgeted anyway. So it wasn't really much work behind it. So then it begs the question, well, why were they in such a rush to put it out when there was a thing about, like, get rid of FOI, we don't want FOI, and the next thing you know, we have a contract. Well, that happens, and then maybe this wasn't supposed to come out yet, but Con Ed proposed raise hikes go up. Now, what I've said about the cost of living was energy is everything. Energy goes up, everything goes up. The delivery of goods, the manufacture of goods, the retail of goods, heating your home, rent goes up because the landlord's bills went up. It's just everything. It's a domino effect, so it raises the cost of living even more. Now, the proposed hikes, if anybody hasn't seen them, is 13% electric over 3 years. 4.2 starting January 1st,
I saw
then
that.
4.7, this is percentage, and then 4% in 2022, which is about 13%. That's just electric. Gas is slated to go up 25% over 3 years, starting 7.5% in January 1st, and 8.8%, and then 2022, 7.2%. So that's going to raise the CPI in our area dramatically. And when that does that, these raises are not going to keep up. Now, maybe in 2017, when the contract was just as bad, everybody was working overtime in all the departments. Overtime was flowing. The subway action plan, nobody was paying attention to the contract. But now that overtime is drying up, their base pay is becoming apparent, and now there is pressure to pay those bills. This year, now you see more people angry when they see this raise because they understand it affects them, and they don't have the power to fight back and work more hours. At least in the departments that have the trade and the cleaners, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Built-in picks are a whole different ballgame, but as far as we're concerned, our overtime is based on work available. So you have energy going up, and just keep in mind, energy is everything. Now, with medical and the emergency room visits, and a lot of people will say, well, $100 is not a lot. $100 is a lot to some people, and
It's going to be a lot to me. It's a lot to me.
If you or I, let's say they have chest pain. So, the logical choice is to go to the emergency room. But let's say you don't. Let's say you go to urgent care, or your doctor's going to send you to the emergency room. It's not called an ambulance. They're not going to tell you why you have chest pains. The hospital is going to do that. So you go there, and then you find out you have gas. So you're not admitted. They give you something, make you burp, you feel better, and you leave. But you got to pay them $100. It wasn't your fault that you weren't admitted. You did the right thing. A personal experience was I had my oldest son when he was, just a year and a half, 2 years old, had like 104 fever. So I took him to the emergency room. Now, they didn't admit him. They put the cold sheets on him with the alcohol and the water and brought the temperature down, some Tylenol, and we were good. But today, I would have to pay them $100 if this contract is ratified. So that's ridiculous. How do you know if you're going to get admitted? A lot of people, nobody wants to go to the emergency room. I don't understand where their thinking is.
I feel
the emergency room sucks.
I've been hearing that they're doing it because guys are actually going to the ER to get their their doctor lines. When
they don't fill out doctor's lines.
That's what I was hearing. That's what they wanted.
And what I heard was, it was the way for people to discourage people from going to the ER and using their primary care doctors more, because they said statistically they're looking at the stats and saying that that a lot of people are going to the ER instead of their primary doctor, and this is a way to change that. I don't know how true that
sucks. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really have to.
I mean, you wake up at 2 in the morning, or one of your kids wakes up at 2 in the morning with pains or not feeling well. There's no urgent care or primary doctor open at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know?
So what are we doing? What are we saving? What are we saving here? I mean, $27 million just during this conversation alone. The MTA made 10 times that. I mean, this is nothing, and I don't believe it saves that much money anyway. But the emergency room, you're going to stop people from going if they know that they got to pay $100 they don't have.
Yeah.
So something bad is going to happen to somebody because they didn't go because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody might not have the money and I'll wait till tomorrow to go to my doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly, and then die in the middle of the night.
There should be something should have been added to this, like, you know, if you go into the ER, let's say after a certain time when, but then I heard that they were going to put a list of urgent cares that are 24 hours or open up late, and someone told me on my page that there's one for me all the way on Park Slope. Now that's like almost a half hour away over there, half hour. When I got a hospital that's less than 10 minutes from here. I could actually walk to the hospital from here. And I got an urgent care that's like 5 minutes away. They close at 11. You know, so why am I going to want to go all the way to Park Slope? That makes no sense to me.
They don't want us to have good medical. They don't want us to have it. And it seems like the union and management are in collusion on this one.
It sure does seem like.
They're trying to sell it. Union is selling it.
No.
It's crazy.
So
there was one
this
more
alone
thing,
should be a no, just because of this. You know, just because
it's a dangerous thing to put a price on health, and that's what the union and management are colluding to do.
Right.
Now, there's one thing, right, and this covers a lot of things actually, but it's a phenomenon nonetheless. Everything in that contract, as I read and I go through, not everything, but most things, as I go through, I see that committees are set up. Committee is formed to do this. A committee is going to form to do that. A committee is going to form a committee. And so what you're doing is you're telling me that the contract's not finished. I mean, mostly not finished. And it was a rush to get it out. That's why I go back to the Con Ed thing. I think they were in a rush to get the contract out before the Con Ed rates went up. That's the proposed rate that I was telling you, by the way. It's going to have to be approved. Now, maybe it won't be that high. Maybe they're highballing it. But it's still going to go up. Right? Now, these committees are going to do what? I'll give you an example. Car equipment. They're setting up a committee to study productivity gain.
Right.
Now, in the overhaul shops, the MTA and Cuomo brought a company in to do time study on work, and we don't work under time. We're paid by the hour. There's no job that's written where it says it takes 2 hours to do that job. We don't work that way. But they brought in these guys to do a time study to see how long it takes everybody to do everything. This is just in the overhaul shop. So now this committee is going to convene, and what they found out, like the report of that time study company, is going to be brought out in evidence within the committee to say it takes X amount of time to do this, X amount of time to do that. And what happens when you don't do it in that time? Do you get written up? So if we vote yes to this contract, and then this committee decides that instead of a 5-man inspection team, is a 4-man team, or whatever productivity increase there is, we don't have the power to vote it down because we already voted yes. Anything they add to the contract after that, we're screwed. I mean, it could be anything. So if you look at all the other departments, you can see whatever they added as far as the committee goes, that is detrimental because they didn't start these committees for nothing to happen. And I just want to make one more point when it comes to this employee availability thing. Employee availability is all over the place. I was objecting to the union and management colluding to decide that, we need to come to work more, or we need, there has to be employee availability. That's a management problem. That's not our problem. We've earned our time off. We don't take any more time off than the time we've earned. But remember, there was a provision put in the contract that they never implemented yet. This was in 2015. They slid this one right on by, and it's the PPO for compensation doctors. In other words, they would take away your right to see any comp doctor you want to see, and you have to go by their list. Their list will be people that are beholden to the authority. Otherwise, they'll be taken off the list. So you actually lose even the need for an IME, and they just tell that doctor straight up. You see that guy, Pete? He's full of shit. His shoulder's fine. Put him to work. I don't care if it hurts. Put him to work. And you lose the ability now to say, well, I'm not healed yet. Or have the doctor be your advocate to say, I can't step back to work. He's not healed yet. He's going to get hurt again. And that's part of the employee availability. And you got to watch that, because that's already in the contract. And all the union has to do is give it the green light. And you heard that here first.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Joe, before we let you go, because we got another caller coming, you want to put that up real quick to see what you had to say about this? This is about the contract from 2009, 2012. How the races were calculated back then. This was due during the depression? No, recession.
The depression, yeah, the Great Recession, right?
Right. And back then, looking at the screen, it was 4%, 4%, and 3%.
Right.
That was for that contract.
Yeah, that went to arbitration. It was a union proposal, and it was negotiated, and the union, had again used the consumer price index formula rather than the inflation formula to say this is what
recession,
our members
inflation.
need.
Okay.
Right, and then the arbitrator showed a little bit of mercy on the authority by saying, because remember there was a regime change, and one regime said, yeah, this contract is all right, and then when they left, the other regime came back and said no, and then it wound up going to arbitration, and then went into arbitration. So the arbitrator showed them a little leniency and said, we'll break up the fours into two twos within a 1 year period every 6 months, which saved them a little bit of money because it saved a little bit on the compounding at the time. But it still basically wound up being a 3-4-4. So
okay.
Probably our last good raise. And again, we kept within the 3 year period because 3 years is a way to see into the future, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go beyond that because you don't know what inflation or the CPI is going to look like in the future, but you could kind of see from 3 years. But 4 years, you don't know. So that 2.75, the consumer price index could be 9. I mean, you just don't know, and we wind up taking a huge pay cut.
Huge.
Well, Joe, thanks. Don't want to cut you off. We got a lot to talk about with this. You're welcome. Call back again the next show or whenever. But we want to give also, we got John Ferretti. I always say that wrong. Ferretti. Yeah, he's going to be calling. And then we also got Rob Martinez that's going to be calling. So hopefully they'll touch on other parts of the contract.
Okay.
And again, we thank you for the information. Again, we do this to hopefully the people that are watching, it gives them a little more input and how to go about voting. If hopefully we get the chance to either vote it on or off. And to let guys know, again, this was posted in the TWU Local 100 page. The PDF file is there, and you could easily, print it on your own computer. You don't even have to wait for them to mail it to you. It's all there, and start reading. Start reading. Make your choices and listen to people that know stuff. That's why we have people calling in. To help us, those of us that don't really know how things work, by listening to Joe and anybody else who's knowledgeable in this, we could make a better decision. So, Joe, thanks again for MVP Live Show.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Same here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Keep in touch, man. Take care.
Like what you watch, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button to stay up to date, and don't forget to like the video.